Many eateries, especially small and medium ones, are founded by the owner and trusted staff and run as a family business, where they're a tight-knit team. However, as the business expands, or when the owner wants to pass the business on, the lack of established system and laid down procedures in the operations will not only hinder the further development of the business, but may even create opportunities for corruption and malpractice by staff. Some restaurant owners, especially those without kitchen experience, may rely heavily on the chef to source food suppliers for the business, place orders, and receive goods. Hence, some suppliers might try to bribe kitchen staff in exchange for business.
Hey, we agreed it was 5%.
All my costs have gone up recently.
Then just inflate the prices on the invoice. Take some lobsters for yourself while lets me receive. And check the invoices. Do whatever, but don't cut my share.
Sometimes employees might not accept kickbacks from suppliers at the beginning, but some shrewd suppliers may try and get familiar with the kitchen staff first. They might dine and play mahjong games together, etc., while trying to lure them into performing dishonest acts. The staff will then gradually be dragged deeper and deeper into the scam.
Here's 500. I still owe you 5. Plus the 3,000, pay it next week.
Don't worry about it, man. Take your time. Here, what?
What's this?
It's for Chinese New Year. Take it as a red pocket for your daughter.
Thank you.
To avoid these situations, the company should formulate a code of conduct to prohibit staff from accepting advantages and gifts from anyone having business dealings with the company. The code of conduct should also advise staff to avoid accepting overly lavish or frequent entertainment from suppliers in order to avoid becoming indebted to them in any way. Consider issuing letters to suppliers to inform them of the company's policy on prohibiting staff from accepting advantages, and encourage suppliers to report staff who approach them for bribes to the relevant authorities. Boss Chung trusts Wah so much that he let Wah decide which suppliers to select and when to change them, place food orders, etc. This is not a proper procurement system. Only Wah and Ho know whether the price of the supplies they ordered is market competitive, the actual quantity ordered and received, as well as the quality of the goods received from suppliers. If they are dishonest, there will be risks of corruption and malpractice. People who are originally honest may also become greedy. Many past corruption cases concerning procurement were caused by over-reliance on one person to handle the whole process without any checks and balances.
You didn't ask me before changing the seafood supplier.
Changing suppliers is a minor issue, I decide. Boss Chung was fine with it.
We had a meeting last month and agreed to try a new system. For high-valued purchases, we have to invite quotations from a few suppliers, and then hold a meeting to discuss before selecting which one. Why didn't you follow the guidelines we set?
You'll get it all tomorrow. Sorry, man.
I don't mean to nag you about it. I could ignore it if it happened once in a while, but recently it's been like this every week.
It's the flights. They're late here, late there. I'll check it, okay?
Sure.
To facilitate and sustain its growth, a company has to have a clear procurement system and procedures which require staff to adhere to the guidelines as well as the principle of fairness when dealing with the company's business to minimize opportunities for malpractice. Otherwise, the lack of a proper system and procedures would undermine the healthy development of the company. There should be proper segregation of duties and adequate checks and balances. If the boss can't keep an eye on everything personally, he should at least assign different staff members to be responsible for important procedures such as selecting suppliers, placing orders, and receiving goods. When necessary, involve both kitchen and office staff in the process so that each party can express their views in the discussion before reaching a consensus. This can enhance both the checks and balances and achieve the greatest benefit for the company. Lay down the different procurement methods for different types and values of purchases and the number of quotations required, such as petty cash purchases and verbal and written quotations. Tenders should be invited for high-value purchases. Such purchases should also be approved by staff at a more senior level. Consider appointing term suppliers for a more stable source and controlled quality of goods. This can save time and resources spent on obtaining quotations for every purchase. If the company has expanded and has a few branches, consider setting up a central procurement unit to handle purchases. Set out the standard specifications and quantity of the food supplies, as well as the procedures for requesting supplies by the branches to facilitate centralized procurement. devise a mechanism to review the quality of goods provided by long-term suppliers of the company and their service performance, such as whether the supplies are delivered on time. Consider a change of supplier if the serving one does not perform well. Like in procurement, the receipt of supplies is another process prone to acts of corruption and also malpractice. If not monitored well, problems may arise like falsified records and receipt of substandard goods, leading to huge losses.
Lobsters, scallops, good ducks. Hey, wah! It's all good. Here, thanks. See ya.
This is all your fault.
What's wrong?
What's wrong? You let poor suppliers in and the restaurant's lost business.
Well, you never inspect the goods.
Establish guidelines for the receipt of goods. If resources permit, assign procurement staff or people who are not involved in the kitchen, such as restaurant managers or cashiers, to receive the goods and sign for them before passing them to the kitchen staff for inspection. If Hua had conducted spot checks on the goods received by Ho, Kung and Ho's scam may not have succeeded so easily. Moreover, although Hua wasn't aware that Ho had accepted bribes in return for accepting substandard goods, as a supervisor he has to be accountable for Ho's misconduct. Accepting kickbacks from suppliers isn't the only form of corruption and malpractice. Conflict of interest and under-the-table deals are also common problems leading to abuse.
We could set up our own business.
And the network?
My elder brother's got it. He's a seafood wholesaler. His stuff is better than Kung's in both quality and price. We can be the boss ourselves. So, are you interested in joining us? Then we could supply the seafood to the restaurant, guarantee the food quality.
Well, did you and sous chef Ho set up a seafood business? If you did it properly, you know that I'd definitely help you. But why were you so sneaky, supplying us without telling me, and substandard goods?
It is clearly conflict of interest if staff members set up their own company and supply seafood to the restaurant they're working in. Staff should avoid conflict of interest as far as possible. If the conflict can't be avoided, they should declare it to their supervisor so the company can make appropriate arrangements, such as assigning other staff to take over the job or requiring supervisors to closely monitor the whole process.